Hi everybody, Steve Griffiths here, developer of the MTPredictor software program. In today's MTPredictor video, I'd like to have a look at our VS or volume spike setup, where we got a nice example unfolding on the 3-minute YM from yesterday. But first, let's have a look at our risk disclaimer. Just remind you that all examples in these videos should be considered as hypothetical. No trades are actually taken, they're just shown for illustration and training purposes only. Remind you there's a risk of loss in trading and investing. I'll put that another way. All professional traders know and understand, but more importantly accept, that losses can and will and do unfold. That's very important. There always will be losing trades in any approach to trading the market, so it's important to understand that losses can and will and do always happen. Right, let's have a look at the NQ from yesterday. So this is our 3-minute chart of the NQ on MTPredictor 8, and you can see that we had a VS sell set up here that actually nailed the very bar of the high of the day yesterday, which is quite nice indeed. So what's a VS setup? Well, if we go back in time to just before that unfolded, what we're looking for is we're looking for a bar to move through an important psychological highs or lows. Now we'll notice that there were like a triple top here from earlier in the day and that swing high from the previous day. So if I just put a couple of swing highs on, just like that, you can see that around this level here, 72.75 or 72.00, I think that is, there's pretty significant resistance. So 3 attempts at that. So what we're looking for is we're looking for a bar to go through this level. So if I move forward one bar, you can see it move through the level there. If I have a look at our volume, it's highlighted these as VS bars. In other words, they're bars with unusually high volume, but on a bar that moved through an important psychological high or low. Now, most amateur traders will look at this and think, a break to new highs, this is a great opportunity to go long and the market's going to keep on going up. But at MTPredictor, we have an advantage. We have our decision point tool. And what I'll do now is put this on the chart, and for you guys who've been following this for a while will know that I very often look at the last swing into a high or low. So there's the low, this is the last swing, do you see that? Down into that low. So the DP off this pivot, right mouse click do DP, is a significant area of where we'd expect resistance. And as you can see, that's exactly where this bar went up into. We go forward the next bar and you can see what happened. The market failed to follow through. So all these amateur traders who are going long here are now potentially trapped if the market reverses back the other direction. And that's exactly what the professionals tend to do. They tend to move it beyond an important psychological level, normally right into our decision point areas. These are these decision point areas have been designed to catch. Basically the areas where professionals tend to reverse their positions. In other words, where they make a decision to go in the opposite direction. So what does this mean? Well, it means that if the market now fails to follow through and then reverses back down, the professionals are now looking to jump on board short here and go in the opposite direction to the amateurs, and as such we very often get quite a significant move off this kind of setup. That's why it's one of my favorite trade setups. So let's place the analysis on now. We right mouse click over the red cell bar, do analysis, and this is the great thing again about MTPredictor. First of all, it keeps your initial risk small, so it gives you an entry level and a stop level. I'll just take these highs and lows off again to clear the chart up. So it gives you an initial risk, in this case less than 2% on a sample $20,000 account. But not only that, it also gives you a target, and this is very important because when trading, it's not just about keeping the losses small, it's also about keeping your profits large. So that's why you have to have trade setups where the profits are large but the losses are small. So not only does it keep the losses small, and as I said at the start of the video, losses can and will and always do unfold, but these would keep the losses small. And here, if the market reaches this potential profit target, the profit would be almost 10.9 or almost 11 times greater than the initial risk. If I turn trading mode off, you can see that's exactly what happened. You see, the market then came down, made a little retracement back up, went back down again and reached that profit target a bit later in the day. So you can see an absolutely amazing trade where we managed to catch the very bar of the high of the day and came down here, not quite at the low, but pretty close to the lows of the day for an absolutely massive profit of approximately 10R. If we look at our MTP trend, this would have actually gone grey on that bar there, you can see, to show you that the market was in the process of reversing after having an uptrend like this, and would have been allowing you to go short. So a great example of the VS setup. I want to just clear this off and show you there's a history triangle here. Do you see that? It's a little grey history triangle. So if I right mouse click, do analysis, there was actually another VS setup in the opposite direction here. But you can see this one actually just was clipped in on the long side just by one tick, then came down and would have actually stopped you out. So this would have been a losing trade. So what I said right at the start of the video is that losses can and will and do happen. But what we want to try and do in MTPredictor is when we get losing trades, like this one would have been a valid loss. You can see the MTP trend had gone grey there. So that again indicated that the market was in the process of making a low and reversing. So that would have been a valid trade, but it would have been a loss. See how our position sizing only allowed you to go long one contract, again on a sample, 2% of a sample $20,000 account, to again keep the initial risk, what we call it, one risk unit. So that would have been a 1R loss, but the previous trade, as we've already seen, whoops, I didn't mean to do that. The previous trade, as we've already seen, would have been an almost 11R profit. So that's what this setup is designed to do, is when it's wrong, the losses are kept small, but when it's right, we have profits that are much, much larger than the losses. So a good example of our VS or volume spike setup in MTPredictor yesterday on the NQ, which as you can see, we did have one losing trade later in the day, but the first one was an absolutely brilliant trade that caught the very bar of the high of the day and returned an almost 11R profit as the market declined sharply throughout the afternoon. So a great example of the MTPredictor VS setup unfolding yesterday on the 3-minute NQ.